Out of last week's Supreme Court decisions, including one that blocked President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. The president said he'll work on a backup plan for student debt relief. Joining us now, former Senator Heidi Heitkamp. That rolls off that Heidi Heitkamp. Heidi Heitkamp. There she is. How are you? Now director of the Institute of Politics at the University of Chicago and a CNBC contributor. And Judd Gregg, Governor Senator Gregg. Is it Senator, Governor, Senator? He was both. We know that. And of New Hampshire, home of great maple syrup and low taxes. Heidi, do you, or Senator, were you for what the president was trying to do with is that the way to do it? Because I've even seen former Speaker Pelosi say that there's no way that was executive branch doable, that it had to be done. That's what Congress is for. It had to be done by Congress. Did you think that, were you for that? Were you mad at the Supreme Court for that one?
Well, you know, the bottom line is I didn't support a forgiveness of principal. I think there needs to be some interest rate relief. I think those people who have literally paid over and over again for their student loans, but the interest keeps compounding on them. I think we ought to take a look at how that works. But I think, you know, even the president himself at one point said, I don't have the authority to do this. So I don't think it's a big surprise. Now it becomes really, I think, incumbent on the Department of Education to go back, take a look at especially some of these older loans where people have been paying for 20 years and not getting ahead. Try and figure out how you can give relief. But you know, right now, if you wanted to find consensus, I think bipartisan consensus, it's looking at the cost of higher education and how you get that under control. For a long time, it was simply the cost went up and the government funded it through student loans, and that we've got the mess now because we didn't control it back then.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel, Jed. I hear both sides. One side says that half the people that were getting the loan forgiveness have a couple of graduate degrees. I don't know whether that's true necessarily, but there were a lot of people that paid their loans and spent a lot of time doing it, and then there are some people that are doing, seems like, at least that's a narrative, that there are people getting advanced degrees trying to get it forgiven. Where were you on the whole, the whole kabuki dance?
Well, it was the biggest vote buying scheme ever perceived or undertaken by a presidency, is all it was. 40 million people get $20,000. I'll vote for you if you give me $20,000. And that's what it was about. And that's what it's still about. That's why they're trying to reform it, so they can keep this idea that they're going to give this huge break, this income to all these folks going into the next election. They clearly violated Article 1 of the Constitution. The Congress has the control over the purse, and this was an attempt to spend for almost $500 billion and add it to the debt. Now, ironically, the people who are going to pay for that are people who haven't gone to college. The waitress at the local diner or the guy working at the local automobile repair shop. They're the ones that pay for this, and the people who are getting the benefit, they signed up to pay it back, but now they don't have to pay it back, according to the president, because I want your vote. It's pretty much that simple. I mean, this is just raw politics, and they know that, and they're going to try to keep it alive by saying they're going to do it some other way now.
Judd, are you troubled about the comments, maybe from both sides, about the Supreme Court and the validity of the court and the legitimacy of the court? You got the President of the United States, it was either for a different decision or for all of them combined, I think, the ones that recently came out, but saying this is not a normal court. Like, it's almost like, don't pay attention to these guys. We're going to either, stack the court, or AOC wants to impeach a couple of the justices at this point. Is this all okay? Is this business as usual? No,
this is very serious. The court is a key institution. The Congress is a key institution. The presidency is a key institution. And our culture is going off the rails in the support of these institutions and the way they're being treated. Not only do you have this attack on the court, which is a threat to the system that's fundamentally controlled by people by the court, but you've got it in the Congress. You got people throwing out they're going to impeach the president for all sorts of ridiculous reasons, and you've got a Congress which is dysfunctional at the highest degree, and as a result, people are losing confidence. Our democracy absolutely requires that people have confidence in the general fairness of our government. and its responsibility, and that we have a responsible government. And that's being eroded dramatically by primarily attacks which come from the fringe elements in both parties. It's not the mainstream in the parties. Both parties are pretty responsible for most of their membership, but you've got these fringe elements which have been given a disproportionate voice through social media and are using it to undermine the core institutions of governance.
President Biden is not a fringe element. I mean,
no,
that's the thing that's the thing that gets me.
Like that, but look, he's not, you know, some days he's there, some days he's not there.
Well, yeah, but okay. So, Heidi, the Supreme Court, maybe you didn't like that Donald Trump, you know, was able to put 3 of them on the court, but, you know, then they were confirmed by people that were elected, their representatives, and it all happened the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah,
I think it's okay to say that it's not a normal court and to question the whole process. I mean, what is normal?
I think what's important is to note that when you eliminated the filibuster, you basically got a partisan court. And I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I think Judd is absolutely correct. We are in a crisis of confidence in our government. If you look at the Supreme Court was the last institution that had fairly high favorability ratings. They're now in the tank along with the legislative branch and the executive branch. And part of that is being driven by, as Judd said, the extremes in the party basically criticizing everything through a lens of partisanship. You can disagree with what the court said, but you know what? They were duly appointed. They're on the court. That elections have consequences, and if you don't like this consequence, you've got to, you know, have your vote speak for you. But the confidence that we have in government is being driven by the people in government who continue to raise huge issues and be so incredibly incendiary in what they say about each other.